Which team are you more worried about, though, for coming out flat, maybe falling behind? I know the San Francisco 49ers are not great from playing behind, and the Baltimore Ravens, that's where they've struggled in the past. So if you had to choose between the Texans and the Packers for which team could punch the other one in the mouth the most, and if you had to pick which team is most likely to come out flat, who would it be?
I think I'm leaning towards the 49ers because when I look at the 49ers, I think that they're a team that has proven this year, especially if they fall behind, they scramble a little bit. And we saw what happened with the Cowboys last week with they fall behind, they tense up. And I think that if the Packers can start off in a similar essence as they did with the Packers, they don't need to go up 24 to nothing. But I think they go up two scores, that's when the 49ers start to tense up and they start to play uncharacteristic football. This is a team also with Kyle Shanahan who has had a fair share of playoff misgivings in the past.
Mm,
I think that this is another team that there is a lot of talent there, but at the same time, they have the most pressure out, I think, out of all these teams because
right.
the Ravens, Lamar Jackson's taken care of. He's paid. They have a lot of their guys locked up for the long term. The 49ers, they traded all this draft capital for Christian McCaffrey. They have all this cap that they have to deal with next year.
Mm.
All the pressure is on them. And now you have the Eagles and the Cowboys out of the playoffs now. Nobody's taking the Lions very seriously, the Packers, the Bucks. It's really yours to lose. I think that the 49ers have the biggest opportunity to crumble in this game. Packers come up, they get the first score, they get a 3 and out, they get another score. I think you're
Yeah.
going to see a different 49ers team who could definitely come out flat. And I think the Packers could seize that opportunity really quick.
Yeah, I think you can seize that opportunity really quick, and you bring up some good points there. And I'll add on top of it, what happened to the 49ers earlier this year where history says you're not going to win a Super Bowl?
They
Please.
beat Kirk Cousins beat them.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins beat them. So that's point number one. Point number two, you lost to the Cleveland Browns, you lost to the Baltimore Ravens, and you lost to the Minnesota Vikings. All kind of these AFC North or Midwest style teams. And the Baltimore Ravens are very much like that Midwest type of team that went to California and ended up kicking their ass because they were so advantageous against them. And then Minnesota was able to do it with Kirk Cousins playing out of his mind without Justin Jefferson. Huh, that's weird. And then the Cleveland Browns were able to do it. Joe Flacco wasn't there at the time. Wasn't it PJ Walker and DTR needs CPR tearing them up in that game? And then Brock Purdy, he didn't have Debo Samuel or Trent Williams, but is that an excuse to lose to Cleveland without Joe Flacco or Deshaun Watson at 100% all star level self? No, it is not. And then when you talk about Kyle Shanahan teams, he is terrible coming from behind. And we saw some of those stats brought up in the Baltimore Ravens game, where this is a team that struggles, is meant to play from ahead. Brock Purdy starts to fall apart. Kyle Shanahan starts to fall apart. And he's also behind the offense that orchestrated the biggest collapse in Super Bowl history. And what do the Green Bay Packers do best? Opening drive, second drive. They have are one of the best teams at scoring on their first drive, the second half of the season here. And versus Dallas, I was like, once they get a lead, they'll be pretty much all set. They'll probably go up 7-0 and get the ball first. That's exactly what they did in this game. 49ers coming off a lot of rest there. They're probably going to give the ball to the Packers first, and they'll be able to get the first touchdown there. And then you'll start to see Brock Purdy tighten up. We're not putting any pressure on the Green Bay Packers to win because still no one expects them to win. But at the same time, the Packers have the quarterback advantage, and it's pretty big in this game. I'll say Jordan Love versus Brock Purdy, where when you go to Baltimore, the Ravens have the weather on their side. They're facing a Texas team who play in Houston, and they play in a dome. And then they have the defense outside to keep up with them. Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud, they can match up against each other. And you can say the quarterback matchup is a wash. And then they have a Super Bowl winning head coach. So I think it is safe to say that based on the weather, based on the coach, and based off the quarterback matchup, the Packers definitely have the advantage.